McDonald for the Trevor McDonald Tonight programme because that's a proper programme. What we decided we'd do is give him half the show. He could have half of our show. He could talk about the best projects they do and the worst projects we would deal with. But he could have half the show to talk about how wonderful the ECGD was. And I wrote an article in a newspaper called the Labour Tribune, voice of the Labour left. And that voice is, help. Would you like to take half of the show for the ECGD? Boom, there's the article. And he basically said, no. No, because it's unfair of us to judge which are the worst and which are the best. It's unfair on the companies if we choose, isn't it? And you just thought, you sound like that bloke who judges school art competitions. Well, everyone's a winner, really.
I want to offer you half the show so you can put a really good example of ECGD onto the... Half the show is yours to show a really good example of ECGD. Half of it, you can have it. All you have to do is give us one bad example. Okay?
Can you get all my press releases now?
No, all you do is you give us one bad example and you can have the rest of the show, half the show, to provide a good example. We'll give it seriously.
Unfortunately, we're leaving at that point because we couldn't get on stage. Someone was gently sort of going, no, don't go on stage with him. Which would have been brilliant. And now the keynote speaker, Richard Cabourn. And we get up there and go, no, another thing is, look, you see, fucking missing the point. I went along to a select committee hearing in the House of Commons about Export Credit Guarantee Department to sit in and listen because I am that dull. And I was sitting there and he walks in the room and he clocks me. And immediately he said, hello, Mark! And I hate that when politicians, it's Mr. Thomas. You know, don't pretend you're my mate. I hate that. Well, Minister, well, Jeremy, it's lovely to be here on Newsnight. You know, I hated that. So he just went, hello, Mark! And I thought, Richard Cabourn. So I just went, Dick! And afterwards, they finished the meeting, and I rushed up to try and speak to him, and I thought he's been friendly, he said hello. No hellos, no bon ami, no boom. Press officers dragging me off of him, rush him in the car, whoom! He was off. He left quicker than a Northern Ireland secretary after being caught lying. He was back, boom! He was out. I love that man who said, put a spring in my step. It really fucking did, you know. I really hope he gets another job in the cabinet. I do, seriously, because if he resigns for a third time, he has to take the first job the DSS offer him. So anyway, well, I was a bit perplexed at why Cabourn had rushed off. Meanwhile, I had put in a data protection request for my personal data to the Export Credit Guarantee Department, and they sent me some emails back. One of them said, don't allow Thomas chatting time after meetings with the minister. You know what an inquisitor he is. It's important to remove the minister as soon as possible. In another one, they talk about trying to close Thomas down. In another one, they say he must be starved of information. In another one, they say the minister wants us to gather background/dirt on Thomas so he can rubbish him. And now listen, if you're in the business of annoying people, that is like a BA Honours certificate. The thing is, we were saying to the ECGD, you know, excuse me, how do you explain digging for dirt, taxpayers' money, breaches civil service guidelines? And he said that the ECGD said, no, that's just colourful language that civil servants use. I said, dig for dirt and rubbish is fairly unequivocal. No, it's just colourful language. All right, then you're a I don't mean it. Just colourful language. We were asking them about transparency and openness, and they said, to show you how open we are, just look at the example. We sent potentially embarrassing emails to you, and we disclosed them voluntarily. We didn't have to give them to you, but we did. That is how open we are. Curious, because something dropped through our letterbox the other day, marked restricted, and it's from the Permanent Secretary from the MOD. I really shouldn't have this. And in it, he describes going to a meeting of permanent secretaries from all these departments where they discuss my email requests. And in it, they actually say, Sir Michael Scholar explained that the DTI had tried to find ways to avoid having to make email data available. That doesn't sound like voluntarily disclosed to me. And so the great thing about this is, though, that all these different departments will have had to write reports about it with my name on it. So under the Data Protection Act, I can claim it all back. It's just the gift that keeps on giving. So, we wanted to talk to Caborn, we wanted to offer them half the show, we thought we'll help them. We found out that a minister and a civil servant were going down to open an office down in Cardiff. There's an office and there's a warehouse. We turned up with some extras and we'd had some music specially made, a sort of like ECGD musical, and it was all this kind of like, oh, there ain't nothing like a life in the ECGD, nothing gets me going like a credit guarantee. You know, it's all that kind of stuff. And we saw the car coming through the industrial estate with the minister on board, and it looked like the civil servant was ducked down in the back seat. And the car doesn't stop. Got to the warehouse and suddenly the shutters go down, the man's rushed out through a secret exit. The cameraman goes to me, which door do we cover? I go, don't bother with the doors, look out for the sliding roof and the jetpack. We thwart you again, Mr. Thomas. It's now our turn. We get our say for some of the bad projects of ECGD. I'm going to talk you through 5 projects. These have got nothing to do with arms and they've got nothing to do with the Ilisu Dam. We're putting them to one side. Item 1 for CAC projects using our money. The Ukraine. In the Ukraine, they are off cover. That means they get no loans, they get no financing, because the infrastructure, because the judiciary, because the courts, because the management is run by the mafia. You don't lend them money, but the ECGD has decided to advance credit to a country that's off cover. Now, it hasn't been approved yet, but they're sorting out the finances, getting ready for it. And I know what you're saying. Mark, what is this project they are doing in the Ukraine? Is it a school? Is it a hospital? It is the replacement for Chernobyl. It is the replacement for Chernobyl. If people in Scotland are watching this going, best get the lead sheets out for the sheep. Because Chernobyl went off and suddenly in Scotland a pint of milk was a lava lamp. How did that happen? The thing is here, the Export Credit Guarantee Department are supposed to work like this. A company says, we have this project. Can we have underwriting? Export Credit says yes or no. They do not tout for business, which is what they have done. There are no companies in the frame for this. They said, look, we've got the contract. Hooray! Come, who wants it? They are pimping for a nuclear power station. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Project number 2. In Kenya, there is a dam proposed to be built in a place called Turkwell, called the Turkwell Dam. European Commissioner delegates said Kenya is paying twice as much as they should be paying for the project because they haven't put it out to competitive tendering. That means one company was approached for the bid. No one else. They didn't get quotes. I mean, you have to get quotes if you have a bump on your car and you get it on the insurance. You have to get 2 quotes. A dam in Kenya? No. It's all right. My mate in the pub, right? And you think this is incredible. Are the Export Credit Guarantee Department involved in this project? Last year they said no. In Parliament, no, we have found no trace of an application for the Turkwell Dam.